In any situation, we have the ability to take control and make our own choices for what happens next. So I'm Marc Guberti. I host the Breakthrough Success podcast. And I mentioned the podcast because a lot of the people who I've interviewed on the podcast, they've come from rough beginnings. They've been able to pick themselves up. And some of those people were affected by what happened during the 08-09 financial crisis. And I think the theme of those stories that I've had on Breakthrough Success really resonate with this time because 08-09, it's very similar to what's going on now, except there's a pandemic, which certainly makes it different from a health perspective. But from an economic perspective, you do have a similar setup with a lot of people trying to reinvent themselves based on a decision they received or something of that nature. So I've had a lot of guests in 08-09. They had that experience. They lost their job. Really deep things happened to them. And while that time was very stressful in their lives, and I feel like a lot of people can relate right now, they came on my show years after that stuff happened. And with years behind them, it still hurt, but they were able to say that during that time, they were able to evolve. They were able to start that business. They were able to not have to depend on a job anymore. And that's because some people during that situation, they realized how much control they have over their decisions, over their lives, and they decided to do something and take action and have this big vision instead of falling into the narrative that was being played at that time, where you have a lot of people playing defense. You had a lot of businesses falling apart. So when it comes to what's going on right now, there is certainly a lot of panic, but it's important for you to always think about what you can do and what you can control rather than the narrative that is surrounding us at this moment. So a lot of people at this time, they've had their incomes affected by what's been happening, and you still have the ability to control what steps you take into the future. You can't control what happened in the past and what happened just before you got to where you are now, but you certainly can control what you do. If you are someone who is in this dire position, what do you do to generate income? What do you do to do the different things that maybe you were able to do before, or maybe feel a lot less attainable now? But think about the things that you can do instead of what has happened, because it's only when we do take that full control, when we do have, like some of my guests, they were through 08-09, they were through very traumatic experiences, but they decided to take control and have something bigger than themselves to go towards, whether they used family as a motivation or being able to impact people. Now's a really great time to impact people through your work, because a lot of people, they really need advice that you can give them. And I think when it comes to everything that is going on, it's easy to look at what's happening right now. It's harder to think about 10 years later, the type of person you can be, because of this year where everyone's going through a major transformation. For some people, it's a lot more stressful than others, but everyone is going through a major transformation. And while it is easy to think about what's happening now, think about where you want to be in 10 years and start creating that journey one decision at a time. And it's through each decision where you start to create that type of lifestyle that you want. And it's